Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh everyone. We are from TQA2. Group 3 will present our group assignment regarding Muslim scholars Imam Shafi'i. Let's start our presentation now. Imam Ash-Shafi'i is well known as one of the greatest scholars in the history of Islamic knowledge. He is one of the pillars in Islamic legal thought and was the first to formulate the principles of Islamic jurisprudence. His contribution to the lives of Muslims in various parts of the world remains evident until today. Apart from his contribution in knowledge, we can definitely learn from his meaningful life stories, particularly in his exchanges with his teachers and students, showing us the beautiful student-teacher relationship that we can benefit from. There were many aspects which caused him to learn various types of knowledge, which not only limited to fixed subject, but also in many other subject areas. For Sunni Islam, there are 4 schools that are Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanafi and Hanbali. These 4 schools have the perfect rules, methods and guides written by them in their respective books. It is an invaluable ingredient in the treasury of Islamic law. Imam Shafi'i is famous as the first formulator of Islamic legal methodology. Usul fiqh was not known in the time of the Prophet and his companions, but this science was born after Imam Shafi'i wrote Ar-Risalah. The Shafi'i school is generally Imam Shafi'i is famous as the first formulator of Islamic legal methodology. Usul fiqh was not known in the time of the Prophet and his companions, but this science was born after Imam Shafi'i wrote Ar-Risalah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Awatif binti Zahid. My matric number is 1191120. Today I would like to present about the biography of Imam Ash-Shafi'i. What is his full name? His full name is Muhammad bin Idris bin Abbas bin Usman bin Shafi'i bin As-Sayyib bin Ubaid bin Abdul Yazid bin Hashim bin Al-Muttalib bin Abdul Manaf bin Khusay bin Kilab. Imam Shafi'i was the descendant from the Quraysh tribe and he also the only Imam who is related to Rasulullah SAW. The meaning of Quraysh tribe was the dominant tribe of Makkah upon the appearance of the religion of Islam. It was the tribe to which the Islamic prophet Muhammad belonged, as well as the tribe that led the initial opposition to his message. When and where he was born. He was born in Gaza, Palestine in the year 150 Hijri, coincided with 767 Masihi. When he was born, he lost his father during infancy and was raised by his mother under very poor circumstances. In his early life, he completed hifzu and memorizing all of the Quran at the tender age of 7 years old. Then, at the age of 13, he began studying and memorizing the Kitabul Muwatta written by Imam Malik. The Muwatta is an early statement Muslim law compiled and edited by Imam Malik. It is considered the earliest extant source of hadith, the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad that formed the basis of Islamic jurisprudence alongside the Quran. Then, when he was 15 years old, he was given the opportunity to express his opinion in the field of fiqh. At the age of 20, 170 after Hijri, he went to Madinah and became a student of Imam Malik. He has become the most pious of Imam Malik's students. Besides, he also participated in learning from other Madinah scholars. He learned from 81 sheikh, from all of whom he acquired the knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. In 184 after Hijri, Imam Shafi'i was arrested and taken to Baghdad. Imam Shafi'i was arrested and charged with the offense of political interference in Yemen. The Caliph of that time, Harun al-Rashid, examined him and found him to be innocent of all charges and discharged him with honor. Imam Shafi'i remained in Baghdad as a student of Imam Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani for over 3 years to add further to his knowledge of Islamic law. In Baghdad, he developed his first madhab, influenced by the teaching of both Imam Abu Hanifa from Imam Muhammad and Imam Malik. Madhab, or in Urdu, mazhab, is an Islamic school of law or fiqh jurisprudence. In the first 150 years of Islam, there were many such schools. In fact, several of Sahaba, or contemporary companion of Muhammad, are credited with founding their own. Then 3 years with Imam Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani. His work there is known as Al-Madhab al-Qadim lil-Imam al-Shafi'i, or the old school of al-Shafi'i. Then he returned to Makkah, where he stayed for 9 years, delivering lectures of Islamic law. In 199 after Hijri, he went to Egypt, where he was received with much honor and respect to all of his writings during the last 5 years of his life. One night, on his way home from his Maghrib lecture in Egypt, Imam al-Shafi'i was attacked and beaten by people, resulting in his death. At that time, Imam al-Shafi'i was also facing a rather serious hemorrhoid disease. Imam al-Shafi'i died on 29 Rajab, year 204 Hijri, or 820 Masihi, in Egypt at the age of 54.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nurul Adha binti Majidi. Next, we go to the contributions of Imam Shafi'i.
Now, let's go to the first one, notable contributions. Notable contributions toward the academic body of Islamic knowledge. This is the formalizations of the foundations of Islamic jurisprudence principle, which shown in Al-Risalah. Because of this, Imam Shafi'i recognized as a revivalist of his day in other people's perspective. His inquiry began with the literal interpretations of Quranic verse, the progress related to al-hadith, and consensus of all the assembled knowledgeable people, which is ijma, by using reasonable analogy, which is qiyas. Imam Shafi'i is also acknowledged as the first one to propose a distinction between judicial discretion in legal affair, which is istisan, and reasonable analogy, which is qiyas. Next, we go to the second one, notable generosity. Imam Shafi'i gave significant sum of money to a group of poor and needy people when he traveled to Mecca. He divided his entire money among the needy people. Because of that, Imam Shafi'i had to borrow money in Mecca to cover his expenses. Imam Shafi'i appeared to observe this generosity from Prophet Muhammad SAW, as he always distributed clothing, food, and money, particularly during Ramadan. As we know, Prophet Muhammad SAW known for his generosity during Ramadan. Imam Shafi'i also remained in the company of scholarly people till the end of his life, as he spent his final day in the company of Abdullah ibn Hakam, which was a well-known company at that time. The third one, an outstanding scholar of fiqh. Imam Shafi'i has a sharp memory, which he had memorized Al-Quran at the age of 7. He started studying fiqh at the age of 20, which he had to cover the work of academic in Mecca. Then, Imam Shafi'i went to Madinah to study with the expert. Not only that, Imam Shafi'i had borrowed and read Imam Malik al-Muwatta and had memorized the entire book and become Imam Malik's student. He also studied the book of Muhammad ibn al-Hasan and became Muhammad ibn al-Hasan student at the end, who was a disciple of Imam Abu Hanifa. This is the example of Al-Muwatta by Imam Malik. Next, as an outstanding scholar of fiqh, Imam Shafi'i also contributed to discipline of fiqh, establishing the fiqh at the middle and balanced level, defending the sunnah from movement that deny it. The first one, discipline of fiqh. In discipline of fiqh, Imam Shafi'i had gathered discipline, divisions, recognitions, elaborate on specific difficulty and concern, and the introductions in particular word in fiqh. This shown in his work Al-Risalah. Al-Risalah explained and analysis the importance of commencing the growth and discipline of society in fiqh. Although other scholars have been writing the same topic, but their work were extending, expanding, and adding to Imam Shafi'i's writing. This discipline of fiqh had proven Islam as a great and qualified religion for various time and places. This is the example of Al-Risalah by Imam Shafi'i. Next, establishes the fiqh
at the middle and balance level. This means Imam Shafi'i rise to establish a middle fiqh which placed in the middle of two previous fiqh that existed among Muslims, such as between Abu Hanifah and Imam Malik, which were two primary fiqh that dominated the Muslim before Imam Shafi'i fiqh. In the fiqh of Imam Shafi'i, he placed Quran and Sunnah as the main and the first sources in establishing of the law. Other sources of law should not contradict the statement of the Quran and Sunnah. On the other hand, Imam Shafi'i sees the Quranic declarations explaining the position of the Sunnah as a position that explains the detail of the context of Quran. This is because there are many Quranic verses in general context that cannot be explained through rational intellect, such as raka'at of the prayer and so on. This ensuring that Sunnah is placed as the same as Al-Quran in the source of law. But this does not give the meaning that Imam Shafi'i different from other scholars in distinguishing between the difference of Al-Quran and Sunnah. This perspective of Imam Shafi'i on fiqh had its own impact on the improvement of the Sunnah among Muslims, such as the knowledge of the society about Sunnah increased at the same quality and balance with the knowledge of Al-Quran because the basis of understanding the Quran tied to the explanations and detail to the Sunnah. Although Imam Shafi'i perspective about the Sunnah should be balanced with the knowledge of Al-Quran, yet it only aims to ensure that the conclusion of a law is valid and true. This circumstance did not make part of Sunnah such as Hadith Mursal is not the same quality as Hadith Mutawatir. The position of Sunnah explain the detail of the Quran context, while Nasah require the Nasah to explain the detail of the Nasah. Next, Imam Shafi'i defending the Sunnah from the movement that deny it. The movement which deny a Sunnah had influenced the attack and criticism of the fiqh scholars who are based on adherence to Athar and As-Sunnah without knowing there is also a weakness in adherence to Al-Ra'yi. To face the crisis, Imam Shafi'i had risen to solve the crisis through his book and speech. The rejection through the speech is more effective because there is no limited in speech and it was more widespread. The rejection through the books is limited, which only followed by scholar and ulama. With the contributions, Imam Shafi'i recognized as Nasir al-Sunnah as he defended the Sunnah. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal also called him as a great scholar who was responsible for preserving Al-Athar when many people rejected it. Imam Shafi'i also contributed to the field of writing. He improved his skills in Arabic language due to his passion in study. He also began to learn when he was a teenager. He learned poetry and literature. He also emphasized on Islamic jurisprudence. Imam Shafi'i often used great words which were from Prophet Muhammad SAW because at his early age he lived in Mecca, and at that time there were a lot of teachers focused on the Quran, the meaning of the content and words. Imam Shafi'i used to support the Quran interpretations by Ibn Abbas with the poetry that he memorized. Therefore, the elements of Quran and Hadith could be found in the poetry of Imam Shafi'i. The literature of Imam Shafi'i educated Ummah, which is loaded with great educational value, such as the value of ibadah, which he made expressions more poetic with his own type of poetry. Next, poetry on manner and knowledge. Then, poetry that reject bid'ah in religion. And the last one, poetry be willing with the fate decreed by Allah.
Now, let us move on to analysis one of the scholars' published work. That is Kitab al-Umm. Kitab al-Umm, or we'll call as Master Book, is the main book and the core of the Shafi'i school. It was the largest book of it and unmatched by any other book at the time. This book discusses various issues complete with argument, including the Quran, Sunnah, Ijma' and Qiyas. The content of this book is as proof of the breadth of Shafi'i's knowledge in the field of fiqh, while from another angle, it is also considered as a book of hadith because of the hadith argument that is present using its own narration line as the book of hadith. Next, overview of the book of Al-Umm. It consists of 9 large volumes, but the last 2 volumes is an independent book included in the printing of the Book of Al-Um. It is compiled thematically based on the study of fiqh that begins with discussion of Tahara and followed by other discussion. The scholars divide the fiqh of Imam Ash-Shafi'i into 2 schools, namely Qadim and Jadid. The Qadim school was his opinion when he was in Iraq, and the Jadid school was the Imam Shafi'i thought when he was in Egypt. The Book of Al-Um is a view of his Jadid school written while in Egypt. The Book of Al-Um is that as an Islamic encyclopedia of fiqh Ash-Shafi'i school and its last legal view. The book is like a summary of the thought of Imam, which has matured and is the peak of his thinking while in Mecca and Baghdad. Thus, it becomes clear that the Book of Al-Um is indeed a compiled book of fiqh based on the framework of jurisprudence and the systematic writing of the Book of Jurisprudence. Although the book contains a large number of hadiths of the Prophet in strengthening legal argumentation by using the chain line. And this book is named Al-Um because the book collects the whole final view of Ash-Shafi'i's fiqh. Every student of fiqh knowledge and tafsir refer to it will surely find in the book of Al-Um what helped them in understanding the problems of religion, belief, worship, muamalah and hudud, and show them the path to goodness and the truth. Next method of the book of Al-Um. This book written based on systematic thematic writing where the discussion is organized based on specific themes mainly relate to theme fiqh. The book consists of several book chapters, then followed with chapters, sub-chapter. In each book, it always begins with the title of the book, and in each book, sometimes there are chapters, but often do not use a particular chapter title and only outlines a few points that need to be studied in the book. In discussing the material, the Book of Al-Um uses a research approach based on the hierarchy of legal istidlal by prioritizing the proposition and then accompanied by other arguments that confirm, expand, or be the basis of the law. The approach includes the dalil naqli, Al-Quran and Hadith, and Aqli, Ijma' and Qiyas. There are at least 3 patterns used in the Book of Al-Um. First, mention of the verses of the Quran relate to the theme of the study when there is indeed a verse relate to the theme, and then continue by evaluating the evidence that is still mujmal, whether tahsis Quran with Quran with Hadith. Second, when not found the verse, then present the Hadith of the Prophet. Third, is the verse of Hadith is not found, then use Qiyas. In all of the above, when explaining the issue being discussed, Imam Ash-Shafi'i used the method of explanation to explain the problem logically and question and answer. What scholars' assessment about the Book of Al-Um? Among the scholars, there are doubts and difference of opinion as to the writing of the Book of Al-Um, whether it was written by Ash-Shafi'i himself or the work of his disciples. According to Ahmad Amin, Kitab Al-Um is not a direct work of Ash-Shafi'i, but is the work of his students who received from Ash-Shafi'i by way of dictation. Meanwhile, according to Abu Zahra, in the Book of Al-Um, there are writings of Ash-Shafi'i himself, but there are also writings from his students. There are even those who argue that in the Book of Al-Um, there are also writing of third parties other than Ash-Shafi'i and Arabi, his students. But according to a famous narration, it is narrated that the Book of Al-Um was Ash-Shafi'i personal record, as every question posed to him was written, answered, and dictated to his disciples. Therefore, there are also those who say that the book is the work of 2 of his students, namely Imam Waiti and Imam Arabi. This opinion was put forward by Abu Talib al-Maki. Regardless of the scholar's view on the method of compiling the Book of Al-Um, surely this book can be attributed to Ash-Shafi'i because it contains his views and thoughts in the field of law, based on the narration of his students who are recognized by the Ummah as fair and Siqah narrators. As the method of writing and compiling the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which was compiled by the Muhaddisin based on the authentic narration on their side. There are advantage and disadvantage of Kitab Al-Um. Kitab Al-Um is the main book of the Ash-Shafi'i school and is written with a discussion where it is not too long and not too short, so that it makes it easier for the reader to understand the words of Imam Shafi'i. Although in this book is include the opinion of other scholars, but it can be said that this book is original from the Shafi'i school. So for readers or beginners who want to delve into the Shafi'i school, just this book is enough because it covers all debates whether fiqh and hadith. for this advantage of this book is that there are still some words that have not been discussed by the reader, probably due to the hack of the Arabic language used by Imam Shafi'i in his argument, and this becomes difficult for new readers who want to start delving into this book. As for the work of study and translating the opinions of scholars that contradict each other, it is complicated because it is necessary to refer to various sources and use certain methods.
My name is Nur Nazifah binti Nazri, metric number 1191131. Now we'll go to the conclusion. As a conclusion, we can conclude that Imam Shafi'i is one of the most influenced, most powerful, most intelligent Muslim scholars in the world. He also destined to be among the greatest scholars in Islamic history. Imam Shafi'i is a Muslim theologian, writer, and referred as Shaykhul Islam. Another attitude that we can conclude from Imam Shafi'i's history is, firstly, he is a man of fortitude and perseverance. This is proof when he lost his father at a very young age, and he remained zealous in his pursuit of knowledge. After that, he also was arrested due to an accuse and taken to Baghdad. Apart from that, he lived in a very poor circumstance. Secondly is, Imam Shafi'i is an intelligent student. He memorized the Quran at 7 years old. At 10 years old, he has read and memorized the Kitab Muwatta of Imam Malik. At 15 years old, he was given an authority to issue fatwa. Thirdly is, he is a talented person. He is a great archer and he would be able to hit the target with his arrow 10 times out of 10. Secondly, he memorized poetry and learned their prose reporting and stories. Before we end this video, I would like to share to all of you a famous quote from Imam Shafi'i. He said that, if you can't stand the fatigue of study, you will feel the poignant of stupidity. That's all from our group. Thank you for listening and watching this video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.